right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to wasmCloud Wednesday for Wednesday, July the 2nd. I was a very, very bad host and I did not make sure that the agenda existed before we started the call. But rest assured, we have just a couple of small things to talk about. I figured this week being a holiday week that it'll be a little more quiet. First, so I'll just go ahead and share my screen and we can work through those items one at a time. First off, hey, welcome to Q3, everybody. Right? July, August, September, October. Yeah, welcome to Q3, everyone. So, officially, we should be wrapping up the quarter two roadmap from 2025. Some of these probably need a little bit of a status update, so I can go through those before we do a roadmap planning. But since this week is a holiday week, I kind of figured that folks may want a little bit of time to, you know, go do their vacations and things. So I propose that we move the roadmap planning over to next week, where we can discuss some things, and it should give folks a good amount of time to go through some of the thoughts, musings from a year plus of wasmCloud 1.0. Now, this is a blog by me, trying to represent the wasmCloud community, the maintainers here, the folks who are using wasmCloud as, individual developers, companies, from the companies that sponsor the development of wasmCloud. So there's a lot of perspectives that went into this one. I really tried to just capture, really what works. Wait, no. My blog hasn't been published yet. Okay. It's coming out. It's coming out very soon. We should just merge this. Okay, sorry, Taylor, I didn't see your things. Okay, this will be coming out very, very soon. But what I wanted to touch on in this next steps for wasmCloud is hopefully things that will inspire folks for next week's community roadmap planning. I really just wanted to outline some of the things, sorry for light mode, that I feel like I've seen work really well for wasmCloud. So things like leaning into extensibility at every layer, using WebAssembly. It's a fantastic choice for a unit of compute, especially with what we're trying to do it. Bringing WASM related tools and creating wash dev, that like zero config developer loop. And our work on language specific SDKs, that, this is not an all encompassing thing, but it certainly is, are some things that I think are strongest points in wasmCloud. The WebAssembly development loop, and the experience that we can drive there. Now, in the what doesn't work, I'm really trying to speak from the perspective of, like, I helped design or designed these things. I helped implement these things. And so there's quite a lot of pieces of wasmCloud that could be improved. And after a year of 1.0, I mean, I think it's time to start thinking about our abstractions, our terms, some of the things that we do. And if something's not really working, then we should consider best solutions for that, rather than like building on top of what we have now. Um, so I would love for folks to take a look at this and really think and make sure that it represents your perspective as folks who are using wasmCloud. I might not be totally right in all of these things, and I intentionally don't, offer really prescriptive solutions as in terms of what is coming next, because I want that to be something that we decide on as a community. Um, I threw in a diagram for the main thing, which I think is a big piece that we should talk about, is the constraining of components and providers into an application boundary. I think that one makes a lot of sense and is reasonable for small deployments, but as soon as you start deploying, I can open up the actual thing. As soon as you start deploying, ooh, come on, there's got to be a middle ground between those two. Okay, well, whatever. As soon as you start deploying a bunch of components that reuse the same capabilities, the application boundary starts to break down, and that's the main way that we deploy things in wasmCloud. Um, seamless distributed networking is really really awesome, and us adding the WRPC error has been kind of a game changer for like I can make a seamless WASI key value call, for example, but if that fails at the NATS transport layer, I want to be able to handle that. I don't want that to be just like a straight up panic and I can't recover in my application. It would be great for components to be able to call each other directly in process, so not going out to the WRPC transport. And this one really is kind of a gripe on it's somewhat of a gripe of complexity on the wasmCloud host side. Like maybe you all don't really run into this, but the host is really responsible for a whole lot. So, I've got some more thoughts in here. Please go give it a read. I'm open to any thoughts and feedback here. If I missed anything, happy to add that as well. But what I really want to be thinking of is how can we make wasmCloud a better project? How can we, as maintainers of wasmCloud, focus on the pieces that our special bits, the pieces that we do really well, rather than trying to, what's that phrase, boil the ocean, trying to solve everything everywhere for all the things. So, like I mentioned, I don't have any really prescriptive things that I like to propose to fix all the, what doesn't work that I've called out here. I have some thoughts, some ideas, but I think we can take them one at a time. And most recently, I've been really trying to take a look at Wash as a CLI development tool, and kind of starting from scratch there with like a plugin model for that CLI framework. So I think we have a lot of brainstorming in our near future. I don't know if it makes sense, given all of these thoughts. It may not make sense to do the it may not make sense next week to commit to all of the things that we want to change because, we've been doing wasmCloud things for a long time, so they are the way that they are for the things are the way that they are for a reason. But if folks could take a look at that blog and see if I missed anything big, or if you agree or disagree, that would be a huge help to me trying to set up some of the things for next week's roadmap planning. Have folks taken a look at the blog? Do you have any thoughts? Taylor, I haven't gotten a chance to look at your feedback. Was it all um like formatting blog stuff, or did you have anything specific you want to
No,
talk
some of
about?
it was formatting, but then there were a couple things around just flow and breaking it up because the too much alcohol in your coffee. I mean, sorry, sorry, they put a Rex on there. The but the main thing I was thinking of was just around the flow, especially the latter section, because without breaking it up, it kind of starts to feel ranty. Like the individual paragraphs aren't, but when it goes thing to thing to thing to thing without like a breakup, even though there's good content in there. And then there's also just some clarifications around like some of the things we tried, especially because we have a lot of people who are new who've started to jump into the community, and just giving a little bit of context. Like I think one of the ones I put on there was around how like shared providers and stuff, like we have them, but it's not first class citizens. And that's the point, right? Like just to like help people kind of get some context around it. Cause I think all of us know. So anyway, they're all minor. I approved it. I just gave some minor stuff.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That second section. I mean, it's easier to be hard on yourself than it is to pat yourself on the back with a bunch of things. But maybe just some organization into sections would help. And some of the things that um, we've tried in the meantime. That would be great. I'll take another look after we wrap up here. Do that. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's really it for that one. I had something else that I wanted to bring up. Oh, the only other thing that we did promise to go over. from last week was thank you, Taylor, for creating this tracking issue. But we talked about tests that were blocking a bunch of PRs from going in. We had some pretty nice progress here. I filed a PR to not okay. Well, this is a little weirdly named, but this built-in HTTP path routing is a test that was very flaky, which we disabled. And since then, we were able to get in and release the Nats blob store provider. So hats off, Masood. Finally did that one, which is awesome. And we also were able to identify why the path filtering action wasn't properly filtering paths. So like if you put up a PR that changed a Helm chart, then it would run the wash and the wasmCloud CI, which shouldn't be happening. Turns out, and this is super dumb, that when you use these negation uh stanza, whatever, when you try to negate a path that this paths filter is trying to match, you have to use the mode where all of these rules have to be true for it to list as changed. I started looking into the actual action that we use this for, and there is a way that you can say, hey, I want to run the CI if anything in wash changes, but not the markdown files, for example. That's essentially what we're going for. But when you set up these filters like this, it's actually trying to match against all of these. And then when it finds this rule, it means that it will run if any file other than the markdown files in wash are changed. So we were pretty much holding it wrong, basically. But now this has been merged in. This should properly gate the when you put in a PR, say you only change the wasmCloud host library, that's not going to run the wash CI anymore. So a little unfortunate. I think we might be able to check off this item on the roadmap. The CI doesn't run when it should, or rather CI runs when it shouldn't. So that was good. So it should be much better now. You shouldn't be running into things that are unrelated to your PR. And I am still working on merging the built-in HTTP client provider. I honestly think that this is another instance of a flaky test, but I need to double check because it's like running an example HTTP hello world. It passes literally every time when I run it locally. So little frustrating there. Might be something to look into. But yeah, just a reminder, if folks have other pull requests that are out there that are getting held back by flaky tests that's unrelated to your changes, feel free to open a PR to disable it for now. We can file and then make a comment in this PR. But I think we're in a better place. Um, Definitely in a better place. So that's a little bit of an update on our CI fun time since last week. Um, Anybody have any questions or other PRs that they have been blocked by? Just putting it out there so that we can chat about it now. All right, great. Well, I think that that's all that I had on the official unofficial agenda for today. Um, we've got pretty much the rest of the call. I'm happy to give folks a bunch of time back. But are there any other agenda items, anything in Wasm Cloud or the Wasm community that we wanted to talk about today?
I was just gonna call it. I did start work on pulling our things out to a normal Docker file. And so I'm not going to show anything, Brick, so I'm good. There's nothing to show except that things do look like they're running a little bit faster. So for a release build, there were some stuff that failed in some of the Matrix. So I was working on that, not the Matrix the movie, but the Matrix the build. And it was um, the ones that did pass were done, and that was Ubuntu. So Linux is always the fastest when you're building Rust, and it was done in about 12 minutes. Everything else looked like it was on track for about 13 to 15 minutes beyond that. So that means all of them are running simultaneously and done in 15 minutes rather than checks notes 45 minutes. So then the build step is just copying those binaries into the container. I'm going to do that for now. It's exactly what we do for Wadam. But if people want like a Docker container that actually builds the project and everything, we can also add that as an option down the line. So anyway, I'm working on it. It'll be slow rolling. Like basically, I've just taken out the OCI build part of the thing right now. I don't, but then we can move over like building the artifacts when we publish a wasmCloud release, and then doing that step as well. So anyway, I've got it started slowly but surely. I also have to review PRs, so I kind of do it in between the PRs. So anyway, there we go. Just want to give people an update. Working on that now.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Taylor. Yeah, if you feel like opening up a mega issue or something to track like CI that we should be moving over, um, feel free. But I'm definitely open to anything that makes it easier to make it through the CI of wasmCloud. Um, yeah, faster, better, simpler, good. All right. Well, oh wait, come on. Oh, yeah. Uh, oh yeah. Okay. Adia, I will just speak for you and then tell me if I say anything horrible. Um, but Adia has been working on so if you all actually saw the nice capability provider icons that are in our documentation now, the like kind of square, I don't know why I'm like waving, I can just show you. Um, the new icons, let me find it in the docs. Form overview. So if you take a look at our docs and you see this image, for example, we have a component talking to a provider, this awesome like green image that makes it a unit of compute or whatever. You put that together after taking a look at our docs and thinking, hey, it'd be nice if this was a little bit more unified. So I love it. I love that we can do this. And Aditya pretty much swung around and was thinking as a Wasm Cloud maintainer, it's like, well, now we could maybe do something for component as well. I mean, the purple WebAssembly logo is pretty recognizable. But we could update the styles a little bit, and then there's also a notion of like when you are calling, like when you have a component, what kind of component is it, right? Like there are completely standalone components that only use custom interfaces and are meant to be composed. There are CLI components. There are components you invoke over HTTP messaging. Custom exports, whatever. And this is actually the first time I've seen it, but I really like I mean, it's obvious that this is WebAssembly. The export as HTTP or messaging or what have you, the type of component is pretty quickly called out. And then, when I first saw the C, I mean, the first thing that I thought of is like, well, you can have WebAssembly modules, and you can have WebAssembly components, and kind of calling that out specifically, I think is really nice here, because if you're familiar with WebAssembly, you may or may not be familiar or have used the concept of a component, which is everywhere in the Wasm Cloud ecosystem. So I mean, personally, I think this is awesome. I think we should maybe put a little more effort into like what types of component workloads we support. Like HTTP services, I think are the most popular right now. Like in terms of HTTP is a WASI 0.2 like standard interface, so it's been integrated in a bunch of places. Messaging is really popular in wasmCloud because we have that direct tie-in to NATs, so it's just like always there. Um, we'll probably want to have a little badge for like a plugin, like to wash. That's a special type of component. Um, I don't want to get too prescriptive here, but not to monopolize all the time, but I think this is great. What do you all think about the component diagram that we have here? You got a heart from OSS fellow?
I like it very much. I think someone who's not used to the WASM in general, there are a lot of buzzwords flying around, so it's hard to sometimes get grounded. So things like this make it much easier. So really like the idea. Pretty good. Second.
Yeah, and Eric, sorry to call on you specifically here, but you've written and integrated a lot of made a lot of our documentation and diagrams. Is there anything else that you'd like to see reflected in this? Like anything that not thinking of?
Yeah, I'm a little like you. I don't want to overdetermine the conversation, but I love it. I'm on board. Like you say, I think a little more massaging around how we're representing the interfaces. The what type of component is this question? But this looks great to me.
Some awesome. Um, yeah, I would say let's not go too hard in that like categorization effort. I think HTTP and messaging will pretty much cover most of the components that we have across the docs. Moving forward, as we lean more into the wash plugin model, we may want like a plugin one, and these basically when you see this badge, it means that this component is using some specific world to be invoked or something like that. Um, but I think it's great. Um, Aditya, I think I actually don't know how you delivered this one to us, but it's once we have this, we should probably get together the shared Excalidraw library with all of our assets and stuff in it so that we can publish here's the component artifact and here's the badges and then here's the provider one and here's the colors we use for links and stuff. And so that way anytime we're trying to make an architecture diagram, all the familiar assets are in the same place. Adia, did you make this with Excalidraw or are you just like uh using an actual, well, no, a different tool? Also, I know you're on the move. Made it with Figma. Okay, cool. Um, well, hey, I mean, I guess Figma works too. Like that's the real design thing. But yeah, I think MS Paint, LOL. I'll probably just look to you then, I think, to share the assets and then maybe Eric, I think we have an Excalibur library with a bunch of things. Maybe we just need to turn that into like a publishable unit, a drawing pad, whatever they call it.
Yeah, absolutely. A more deliberate library that we share more deliberately.
Yeah, awesome. Stamp. It is done. Um, awesome stuff, Adia. Thank you so much for uh no, not at all. We'll catch you later. Thank you so much for, putting effort into this and thinking and doing the design. It's really nice. Uh, awesome. Well, now he's gone. You can share your real thoughts. Just kidding, just kidding. Okay, everyone. Well, before I get too jokey, I think we can probably call it for today. Um, please raise your hand or whatever if you have other things as I'm doing this little outro. But okay, cool. Everybody who is stateside, hope you enjoy your 4th of July holiday on Friday. Um, Yeah. And we'll see you next week. I think we should plan to do the community roadmap planning next week. But we can follow up in Slack just to make sure that folks are going to be available. Folks have the, their thoughts put together and what we want to work on for the next couple months. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a wasmCloud day.